and welcome to Surrey Police Live, a show where you can find out more about what we do here at Surrey Police. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. My name's Helen Hartley and I'm the Force Lead for Volunteering at Surrey. This week we'll be focusing on our volunteers and what a fantastic job they do of supporting us across the force. This is episode 4 of the first season of Surrey Police Live. Here's what's coming up in the next few weeks. Next week we'll be looking at roads policing, and after that I think we've got to focus on young people. We'll provide some more information at the end about what the next sessions will be. In tonight's episode we'll be focusing on our volunteer police cadet scheme and also our special constabulary. I'll be talking to Cadet Ellie, Cadet Leader Paul Woodhouse and Special Constable Sharon Bolton to find out more about their roles, why they joined us and how you too can get involved. Some of you may not know that we have over 400 individuals who volunteer for Surrey Police, either as special constables, police cadets or police support volunteers. Volunteering during the pandemic has provided really vital support across our policing teams in what's been a very challenging period. Since the start of the first lockdown in March 2020, our special constables have volunteered over 62,000 hours, which is the equivalent of 1,550 weeks of policing and a huge achievement. We'll hear much more about that later in this episode. Over the past year, our cadets have been meeting virtually due to the restrictions of the pandemic, but they've continued their learning and enjoyed lots of sessions hosted by guest speakers. As restrictions have lifted, our cadets have also been able to start supporting local policing operations again. We'll find out more about our cadet scheme this evening from our guests. So without further ado, I'd like our guests to introduce themselves, starting with Cadet Leader Paul Woodhouse.
Good evening, I'm Paul Woodhouse. I'm here, I joined Runnymede Cadets back in November 2016 and I've been there ever since, building up the unit and getting involved with all the different activities that the cadets get involved in.
Thank you, Paul. And coming across to Cadet Ellie.
I've been a cadet for 2 years. I've done lots of activities and I'm 15.
Great, thanks Ellie. And over to you, Sharon.
I'm Sharon Bolton. I'm a special constable based in Elmbridge, which is part of Northern Division.
Thank you. Welcome along. So the first section of tonight's episode will be focusing on our cadet scheme, which we started back in autumn 2016 when we became part of a national volunteer police cadet scheme, which is open to young people aged 13 to 18 across Surrey. Over the last 5 years, we've grown our scheme and we now have around 150 young people involved with a really long waiting list, which we hope to reduce in September when we get back to our face-to-face sessions. I know that Ellie and Paul are really looking forward to resuming the new term and getting to see each other in person. So, Paul, can you tell the viewers a little bit more about what a cadet is, please?
Yeah, a cadet is a young person that's aged between 13 and 18. That's the age ranges for the volunteering for the cadets, and they get involved in policing activities, things like community events and attending weekly meetings.
Okay, fantastic. And how many cadet units do we have in Surrey?
We currently have 8 units in Surrey, but the bigger picture is for us to eventually have 1 unit per borough, of which in Surrey there are 11 boroughs, and that's what we're currently working towards.
And so your role as a cadet leader then, Paul, what do you do? Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yes, certainly. As a cadet leader, we essentially facilitate the delivery of the syllabus, whether that's designed locally or whether it's been designed as part of the national team. We also get involved in team building activities. The cadets have a weekly meeting where a typical evening may include things like learning basic drill. They will be inspected for presentations. There's a bit of self-pride there as well, and lots of other fun activities that they can be involved in, whether that's community fetes and events, or just doing operational policing stuff. A prime example of this is when we're utilising the cadets as part of our test purchasing with trading standards.
Okay, thanks, Paul. So do you need any specific qualifications or skills to become a cadet leader?
No, you don't, is the short answer to that. We just ask that you just come along with an open mind. You clearly have some experience or build that experience through working with the other cadet leaders and the cadets. It's a challenge for all of us, which we're all learning from each other, really. So there's no formal requirement as such. It's just embrace the challenges and we'll all have fun together.
And how much of a time commitment is being a leader?
To be honest, this is the question I get asked the most often. How much time? The simple answer is as a cadet leader, you try and give as much as you can within, let's say if you're working for the police already or a shift worker, you commit to as much as you can that's sensible in the circumstances. Obviously, there's lots of leaders that will turn up religiously week after week, and that's great because it means that they build the rapport with the cadets and the unit, and there's kind of a common camaraderie within each unit, and then part of the bigger cadet family, getting to know those kind of contacts.
Okay, so do you need to have policing experience to be a leader?
With regarding policing experience, you don't need to have any specific policing experience. It is a benefit because obviously the syllabus and some of the tasks that we go about, it's fundamentally police orientated. So having a foundation knowledge of what is involved in policing would be a benefit, but it's not essential. There's some great facilities in-house where we can do peer teaching for those that haven't got the prior knowledge, and bringing everyone up to a comfortable standard, I think is probably the best way to describe it.
And would you say that lots of our cadets have gone on to become cadet leaders?
I don't know the exact percentages, but it's quite a high percentage I'd like to say, that as soon as they've turned 18 at the end of their cadet path, have almost bitten off, I know within Runnymede, our arms off to say, where do I sign up to become a leader, which is really encouraging to see.
Yeah, fantastic. So what do you think, Paul, is the best thing about being a cadet leader?
In a nutshell, it's about investing in others and seeing them develop, and by sharing your knowledge and experience and seeing them flourishing in sometimes in foreign environments, it helps. It gives you a good feeling. It gives you pride in their development, and it's all about sharing, really, with regards to skills, and it's really rewarding. It's probably the easiest way to encapsulate.
So if anyone's watching tonight and you think that they're a bit uncertain about whether being a cadet leader is for them, what would you say to them?
I would say give it a try. Come along with an open mind. We've all got something to give. That's the main thing. Get involved. Yes, it's not for everyone, but at least give it a try, and we can sort things out within reason.
Lovely, thank you. So I think we'll go across to Ellie now. Thank you, Paul. So Ellie, just going to talk a little bit more about your experience as a cadet with us. So what made you want to become a cadet?
When I was younger, I was scared of the police, and I didn't really know what they did, and I was just a bit frightened, and I thought, to give police cadets a go, and how great police cadets is and what the police do, to not be afraid of that.
So when did you first realise that you wanted to become one? What happened?
I was at Pride in Surrey, and I went up to one of the sergeants, and and asked about one of their motorbikes, and he said, what wanted to make you become a cadet? And I said my reasons, and also I have a disability and other mental disabilities, and I wanted to do something with the police, and I had the opportunity to do it, and it was nice that they were inclusive.
Fantastic, that's great to hear. So what happens at a typical cadet session when you're able to meet face to face?
We start off with drill and inspection, and then we do some police related topics, so from anything from traffic to bigger crimes in the area, and then we have a break, and then we carry on with our activities.
And can you tell us a little bit more, you've touched on them there, but can you tell us a little bit more about other things that you've done as a cadet?
I've done a course in fire and safety at Guildford Fire Station and got a certificate for that at Guildford unit when I was in their unit. I've also done volunteering at a food bank for 2 days, which was rewarding because we're giving back to people that are less advantaged to us.
And our cadets do quite a lot of work for sort of local charities and national charities,
Yes,
don't they?
we do.
So what's been your favourite thing, do you think, so far about being part of Police Cadets?
Making new friends and learning new skills, and just enjoying learning new things.
Fantastic. And people that are watching might want to know a little bit more about how much it might cost to join the scheme. So is there any cost involved?
There is not a cost, no.
Okay. And even for your uniform, you don't need to pay for that either?
No.
Okay. So in terms of from your personal experience, if anyone's watching tonight, any young people or perhaps some parents or guardians that are watching, what would you say to them if they're a bit unsure about becoming a cadet? What do you think?
I think it's a great thing to do, to learn new skills, to make new friends, if you're interested in the police or just want to do something new, to give it a go.
Fantastic, thank you. And in terms of the people you've met, you mentioned that you've been in 2 different units. So in terms of the people that you've met in that time, would you have met them at school, or are they from different schools and colleges?
They are from different schools, but we have talk to each other and we get on, and it's really nice to get to know some new people.
Okay. And who's your favourite cadet leader? I'm only joking. You don't have to answer that one. Thank you so much, Ellie.
That's okay.
I really appreciate that. So anyone watching this evening, if you want to find out more about our cadet scheme, you can visit the National Volunteer Police Cadet website. That's vpc.police.uk. And this includes links to register your interest in both becoming a cadet or becoming a cadet leader if you're over 18. You can also follow our cadets and all the exciting things they get up to via our social media accounts. So we've got Twitter, Cadet Surrey, at Cadet Surrey, and on Instagram at Surrey Police Cadets. Okay, we're now going to take a look at a video filmed last year where our Chief Constable Gavin Stevens spoke to 2 of our specials, Graham and Sam, about life and policing during the pandemic.
So Sam, Graham, thanks for joining me today for a bit of a chat. One of the things that we're really appreciative of during the coronavirus crisis is the amount of support that we've had from the Special Constabulary, and I know that during lockdown volunteer special constables have done well over 6,000 hours of voluntary duty, which is about the same as 150 weeks worth of policing, and you've been actively involved in that, so an enormous thank you from me on behalf of the communities of Surrey. Sam, I know your day job is in the Cabinet Office, so it'll be different times for you, and Graham, I understand you're furloughed from working in events management. So Graham, how's life been for you and the family during COVID-19?
It's been very different, sort of going from a very busy industry, and we were just starting to get to the point of the year where it was going to be pretty full on, to then almost within a week having zero income coming into the business. Seeing the management of the business getting very concerned about what to do. The furlough scheme's hopefully going to help the business, but it has been very strange not having to do my day job. Being able to do this has really helped, because it's kind of, I can at least get out and still do something, feel like I'm doing something, and keeping myself busy and not climbing the walls.
Well, I'm pleased to hear it's helped you as well. It certainly helped us. So we got the drone here. You're a trained drone operator. How have these been used during COVID-19 to help keep communities safe?
With a number of specials now being furloughed, we offered our service of being a sort of a permanent resource. So we're now offering a daily double crewed car that can respond to whether it be COVID-related incidents, but we've also found the force itself has used us more in looking for high-risk missing people and things like that, because we seem to just be able to be there and help out when we can now, whereas before we would only be in sort of as and when, evenings and weekends when we could.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a massive boost for us to have this sort of quick response capability for high-risk missing people, and I know there's been coverage in the press about police spying on crowds during coronavirus with drones. That's absolutely not what we've been doing. But this little one here with a speaker on to give safety messages, I think has been a really important addition, and it's been helpful to us. So, I mean, a huge thanks for what you've been doing. And Sam, how about you then? How's COVID-19 affected your daily life?
It's changed it quite a lot. My day job in central government, we've gone from working sort of full-time to 1 week on, 1 week off. So in my week off, I've been doing sort of a mix of doing the drone response work and doing MPT response work full-time.
So your neighbourhood policing team over at Moor Valley?
Yes.
You got Box Hill beauty spot there. What's policing that been like?
It's quite a rural area. We've got a lot of beauty spot car parks. Box Hill's been quite an area of concern for local residents. It's been closed throughout. We've had sort of concerns for residents where people have, in some instances, there's been some bad parking and some tension there.
You know, I think lots of people have risen to the challenge. We're just really lucky to have you both supporting policing here in Surrey. So, I mean, an enormous thank you from me for everything that you've done and continue to do. We really do appreciate it.
That's a great introduction there from Sam and Graham about our specials and what they've been up to during the pandemic. So our special constabulary here at Surrey plays a really crucial role in helping us as a force to ensure that Surrey's a county that is safe and also feels safe. Our specials come from many different walks of life and form a vital link between the community and our police force. Through their volunteering with our operational policing teams, our specials provide valuable additional capacity and resilience to our frontline teams. We now have 135 specials who, even after a hard day's work and around their busy personal lives, devote their spare time to policing our communities voluntarily. Sharon's one of our specials and is here this evening to share some of her experiences with us. So Sharon, can you explain to the viewers what a special constable is, please?
So a special constable is an officer with the same legal powers as a regular police officer. You wear the same uniform, the same equipment, you go out on the same jobs. The only difference is you don't get paid.
You do it all for free?
We do it all for free.
So what made you decide to become a special constable?
So I've got family, two teenage boys that they've grown up now, and they don't need me as much, and I just had a bit more time on my hands, and I just thought I can put that to better use. Always wanted to be a police officer, and saw an advert and thought that it's my time to give something. I think I think people say it, to give something back to the community that they live in. And try and make things better and just be a part. I think everyone's got something to give. It doesn't matter on your age, whether you're male or female, everyone's got something to give. And I decided that it was my time to become a special.
And what do your teenage sons think about that?
Yeah, they're really behind it. They really like it. I think the younger one was slightly worried at the time, but they're fully behind it, and I think deep down they're probably quite proud.
I'm sure they are, absolutely. So what was your initial training like when you first started with us here at Surrey Police?
So I started training in October 2019. that encompassed a Wednesday evening and all day on a Saturday. We learnt the theory that regular officers need, and we part of that training was officer safety and the physical side of just keeping safe and using your equipment in the best way. And that went through about 3.5 months, and just provided all the training that you needed when you went out.
And how did you feel on your first shift? How did that feel?
Bit like a rabbit in the headlights. Had absolutely no idea what to expect, but the team that I've been allocated to, just amazing, fantastic.
They made you feel welcome?
Absolutely. I mean, they are a very, very, I think the police are very special groups, very special family, and yeah, they are, they've been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and supportive, 100% supportive.
That's great to hear. So, what's a typical shift then when you're out volunteering?
You just don't know. So I'm aligned with the neighbourhood policing team. So I might be responding to a 999 call. I might be out looking for a vulnerable person. Might be helping to investigate anything that a regular officer would do. I attend road traffic collisions. Anything basically that a regular officer would do, I will be crewed with someone, and that's where we will attend.
So have you ever had 2 shifts that have been the same?
Never. never had 2 days that have been the same.
I don't think you ever will
No,
either.
no.
So how do you fit in being a special around your job? What do you do for a job? And obviously you've got busy family life as well, so how do you fit it all in?
So I'm quite lucky. I work for myself. I've got my own business. So I'm able to just adjust my hours slightly. I try in the main to work with late shift, which is 3 in the afternoon until 1 in the morning. You obviously don't have to do the whole shift. You know, at any point you could say, I need to go, or I need to. Obviously not if you're in the middle of a job. But I just work it round, and obviously weekends, or if I've got days where I can go in, I just sort of try and identify when I've got some capacity. And the family, as I say, they're a little bit older. My husband's really supportive, and they get round it. It's my time. It's something that I want to do, and it works.
So is there a minimum time commitment that you need to give us?
So the minimum criteria is 16 hours a month, which basically works out to about 2 shifts a month.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I've been able to do that without problem. If anything, you're desperate to do more.
Yeah. The more you do, the more you learn.
The more you do, the more you learn.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's thoroughly enjoyable.
I think it's really important for our specials to sort of realise that when they join, they need to sign up to that, because maintaining their operational competence and their knowledge and understanding in policing is really, really important. And as you say, they can obviously go out to exactly the same jobs as a regular police officer would do. And when you turn up on someone's doorstep, you look absolutely like a police officer, just
There's
like
no
you do
difference,
today. There's
yeah.
no difference
No
at all.
difference at all.
So it's really, really important that that you can make that commitment. So thank you for all that you do there. So in terms of what you've learnt, so what have you learnt about yourself through being a special?
It just, I think the whole special pathway for me was just coming out of my comfort zone and doing things that you would never ever believe that you could do. And you can do it. You've obviously always got a crewmate with you, but there's a real sense of satisfaction when you do something you've never done before, or you experience something you've never experienced before. And someone said to me that the best thing about the job is when someone says thank you, and you go away and you've made that difference. And that's happened, and it's an amazing feeling.
And is there any particular job that you've been to so far that would really stick in your mind?
There's a few, yeah. Definitely a few that you will always remember. You'll always remember your first arrest. You'll remember your first missing people. I found with another crewmate 2 missing people now, and it's a wonderful feeling when you take them back to their home, and you just think, yeah, I've made a difference there. It was worthwhile.
Absolutely. So is there anything that you wish you'd known before you joined us as a special?
I think I wish I'd done it earlier.
Interesting.
But timings, family life and timings don't work. I don't think so. I think with the work I did, looking the background work I did about becoming a special, and the training we had, I think I was prepared. Obviously, you're never prepared for necessarily every situation, but I think I knew about the special. I knew enough when I became a special from the excellent training that we were given.
And do you feel that you've been supported out on division? Have you learnt a lot from your colleagues?
Huge amount, absolutely huge amount. I can't speak highly enough of them. They embraced me into the group very immediately, and at the end of a shift, that the fact that they always say, "Oh, thank you, great work." They're just an amazing group of people.
So what would you say to anybody watching tonight that might be thinking about it and thinking perhaps, oh, I'm not sure if it's for me, I'm not sure if I've got the right skills or the right experience? What would you say to them?
I'd say investigate, read everything you can, just have a look at the criteria. If you can talk to people and you have an empathy with people, just do it. I just didn't want to be in that situation where I look back and thought, I wish I'd done it. Just do it. It's fantastic.
Great, thank you so much, Sharon. It's really great to hear about all your experiences, and thank you for all you do for the communities of Surrey. So if you'd like to find out any more about becoming a special, you can visit our website at www.surrey.police.uk/specials. And you can also submit an expression of interest online, so that when we open for recruitment, we can contact you and let you know that we are recruiting. You can also follow our specials on Twitter at Surrey Specials. So we're now going to show you another video of our specials, which was filmed very recently and features Special Constables Steve Ellis and Charlie Hickey. And they'll be talking about their role and some jobs that they went to last week, and they'll share advice with you about joining the Special Constabulary.
So my name's Steve Ellis. I'm a Special Constable in Surrey Police. In my day job, I'm an engineer. I work for a large international company, and then at my weekends, most weekends, I can be found policing the Surrey Heath district in Surrey.
My name is Charlie, and I'm a Special Constable with Surrey Police. I joined the Special Constabulary towards the end of last year due to the fact that I can no longer do my day job due to COVID, and I've been a Special Constable full-time since January of this year. In my day job, I work in the entertainment industry, doing lighting and video for shows. At the moment, I'm on furlough due to the COVID pandemic, and I'm just coming up to 1,000 hours this year as I've been volunteering full-time.
So I guess when I moved to Surrey, I was looking for some way to give back to the community, and I was really lucky. I just happened upon the Special Constabulary, and actually really motivates me to actually fight crime in my local area, and I'm really motivated by helping to catch the serious criminals that harm the people of Surrey.
So we've just had reports from our control room that a male is climbing over fences between people's gardens, so we're on our way over to have a little look and see if we can find out what's happening.
So yeah, the house is unsecured, so we're just knocking on the front to see if there's anyone inside who comes out the back when the other officer makes himself away. So after making entry to the property around the back, we just had a search of the building. There's no one inside. So yeah, as far as we know, no crime's been committed. So that's probably it for us here.
So we're now out and about having a look for some cars to stop in order to do some proactive roads policing. So we're looking out for anyone who might be committing any road traffic offences or might be using the roads to enable crime. Our roads are a source of loads of detections for us because unfortunately there are lots of people out there who are up to no good, so we're just out to try and find them.
So we've just stopped a van that had no front number plate showing, and then when we stopped it, we actually found as well that it had illegally tinted front windows, which is a real safety hazard to have on the van. One of our priority crimes at the moment in Surrey is catalytic converter thefts, and we've just come up tonight to St Peter's Hospital in Chertsey to proactively patrol, to look out for people acting suspiciously. Recently we've had offences where NHS members of staff and patients have had their catalytic converters stolen off their cars while they've been at the hospital, and that's something we really want to crack down on and catch these people committing these offences. So in terms of the commitment, I tend to volunteer most weekends when the rota I crew with are on, but kind of the minimum commitment 16 hours a month, which is really 1 or 2 shifts over the course of the month. So it can be really easy to fit in around even the most hectic of schedules.
Okay, so we've now got one in custody on suspicion of some drug driving offences and an offensive weapon offence, and we're back at the custody centre here at Staines Police Station. The process from here, unfortunately, we can't film because we're very busy in here tonight.
I became a special constable because I've wanted to be a police officer since I was a sort of a young teenager. That feeling that I wanted to go and give something back and do something that mattered never went away, and was always there in the back of my head. So being a special constable is kind of allowing me the best of both worlds in having the career that I love, but also being able to go out and do my part as a police officer.
So now's the opportunity for you to ask us any questions that you've got. So you can post your questions on Facebook, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can do the same. Please ask us anything you like and we'll do our very best to answer them. We've had a couple of nice comments so far received. So we've had a comment from Alyssa on Facebook. She says, "I'm a police cadet in Sutton. It's the best decision I ever made. In the police cadets you get to meet so many people and you learn about what the police do. It's amazing. I've been in the cadets for 4 years. I was in juniors first and now I'm in the seniors." So thank you, Alyssa. It's great to hear from you, and I'm really pleased to hear you're having a positive experience in the Met. So the Met Police have had their cadet scheme running for many, many years more than ours, but in Surrey we hope to get to the point where we might be able to have junior and senior cadets. That would be really a real achievement for us. At the moment we've got 8 units in Surrey, and we're hoping that over the course of the next year, when restrictions start to lift, we will be able to open a further 3, which would mean that we then have 1 cadet unit in each of our boroughs, and it would be really great to give more opportunity to our young people to get involved. We've also had a nice comment from Dave on Facebook. Dave says, "As a former special, I'm glad to see you highlighting their role." So thank you, Dave. Really good to hear from you. We've had a question from Lizzie, actually, that I think I'll ask Ellie, if that's okay, Ellie.
Yeah.
So Lizzie says, "Can someone join the cadets if they've got additional needs?"
Yes, they can. Staff and whoever runs the unit will try and help them as best they can. Especially at some units there are quite a few people with special needs. They will try and understand your disabilities and help you as much as they can.
Fantastic.
And I myself have autism and other special needs.
And do you, Ellie, do you bring anyone with you to your unit as well for some support sometimes?
Sometimes I bring a carer with me that helps me at Police Cadets. She's also a leader, so she will sometimes help. So if you needed help like that, you could ask one of the police staff.
Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, and I think I'd really like to reiterate that message that, you know, our cadet scheme here in Surrey is welcome, open and welcomes everybody, regardless of your background. If you've been in trouble with the police before, it's really not a problem. We can accept your application and look at the circumstances, and wherever we possibly can, we're fully inclusive and want to encourage everyone to get involved. Paul's nodding over there. So I think I'll cut to you, Paul, then. So in terms of your role as a cadet leader, How do you plan each week? Do you have a framework to work with?
Yes, within the framework that we're sent out, there is a little bit of flexibility, but there's kind of core subjects that we work upon, whether that be regarding team building, communication, community engagement, getting involved in events, for example, fundraising and charity work. But with regard to the core syllabus, the cadets will work through a set programme of modules to then finally attain at the end of it an accreditation which shows their abilities during cadets. It works sometimes along Duke of Edinburgh. I know that we have a few cadets that do the dual cadet scheme and DV, and they can kind of work together with regards to their volunteering hours, but the cadets by itself has an accreditation of study that the cadets can work towards.
So if we just stick with talking about the volunteering side of things, so in normal circumstances when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, how many hours a month roughly are our cadets expected to volunteer?
I believe it's 16 hours per month.
That's for specials.
Sorry.
Three for
hours.
cadets, slightly less for cadets.
I'd like to get the most out of them. But yes, it's 3 hours per month in addition to the weekly meetings.
So when do the weekly meetings tend to happen? What nights of the week do they happen on?
It's generally a variety between the 8 units that we currently have. It's generally a 2-hour slot of an evening, predominantly from 6 till 8 p.m, linking in with a local school. It's usually where the meetings are held, and we're using their facilities and supporting the local community because that's where the cadets are based. So it's good to have that engagement with local young people as well.
So Ellie, just staying with the theme of cadets and the weekly sessions, how do you fit that in around your schoolwork? I'm assuming you're at school in Surrey.
Yes, I am actually. So I have set times when I'll do my homework, but I am very committed to be a police cadet and volunteer as much as I can and attend every weekly meeting.
Great, so you managed to fit it in, no problem.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a couple of extra questions have come in. So we've had a question from Alex, which I think I'll ask Sharon. So is there an upper age limit for becoming a special?
I understand that it's age 57.
Oh.
Though I did do a bit of homework on that earlier.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so some forces do set the limit at 57. You're absolutely right. We what we tend to do in Surrey is sort of think about everyone as an individual, and when you become a special with your pre-volunteering clearances, you have to do something called the fitness test.
yes, you
I
do.
don't know if you want to just tell the viewers what the fitness test is all about.
The fitness test is a bleep test. It's a 15-metre bleep test, and you have to attain the level of 5.4. It's perfectly doable. Even at my age, I've managed to do it with not too much of a problem. But yeah, it's like anything. Be prepared for it, train for it, and it, just put it in a part of your fitness regime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've certainly had specials that have taken the fitness test for the first time and not managed to meet the requirement, but then worked on their fitness and been able to meet that within a few weeks.
Yeah,
so
you get 3
doable.
chances on it.
Yeah.
So if you would fail it the first time, you know where you failed, and you can train yourself up. There's some fantastic YouTube training available, but yeah, it's perfectly doable.
Okay. And then we've got a second question has come in from Heidi on Facebook. So Heidi asks, as a special, do you have to cover a whole shift when you're volunteering?
Not necessarily, no. I personally have done, but there will always be a point, or nearly always a point in your evening or your shift where you're back in the station to write your paperwork or for whatever reason. And no, I mean, I know specials who do maybe 5 hours, 4 hours in the shift, and then go home. There's no cut and fast rulings for it. It's just different people's requirements. But yeah, I've always managed to see the shift out or near enough. But no, you can split that 16 hours into smaller chunks, if you like.
Yeah, I think it's important for everyone to sort of understand that we will be as flexible as we can to accommodate individuals and their personal circumstances as well. It's not always easy to do 8 hours necessarily on a Friday night, so it can be completely flexible.
And especially if you've got a family and you do an 8 hours and then you're going to be exhausted for the following day, so you're better off doing 4 hours on one day and maybe 4 hours on a different shift. But it's the fact that you've done it. You're there and you're providing that extra pair of hands, and all the officers that I know are always really grateful for that extra pair of hands.
I'm sure they are. Staying with you then, Sharon, what do you think is your main motivation for what is essentially putting yourself in harm's way voluntarily to protect others?
I think to protect others. I've always been the sort of person who wants to help other people, and you do have situations where you're in harm's way, but you have the training. You've been given the officer safety training behind that, and you have the equipment to deal with that. And not forgetting you are with another crewmate, unless you choose not to be, obviously. But it is really about wanting to keep your community safe and wanting to play your part in that. And we all obviously think about the jobs that could be dangerous, but you have a way of going through it, the risk evaluation. And once you've got that and you've been trained to do it, it's and the satisfaction of doing a job and maybe keeping somebody else safe. That's the biggest reward.
It's quite a unique volunteering role, isn't it? Not really like any other role that you could do.
But it's not all risky and scary. There are jobs where you're doing something completely different. Like we said earlier, one day is never the same. I think you'd ask any police officer, one shift is never the same as the other. You never ever know what you're coming into. But it's such a rewarding role.
And in terms of next steps for someone that's watching, if they're thinking about joining, can you tell us a little bit about the application process, what you had to do when you applied?
So when I applied to be a special, I went on a introduction day just to find a little bit about it, and from then in I put my application in, and I went on an assessment day, and obviously it was for me to see if the job was right for me, and also to make sure that they wanted me. I was the sort of person that could do the job. And then once I was accepted for that, there was the vetting and all the different parts, and like we've touched on before, the fitness test. And then it was not too long a process. I think I'd applied in the February and I was on the October course. So it wasn't too long to wait, but it gives you time to go through the stages in the process.
Yeah. And as part of that process, in terms of what we've done in the pandemic, we've obviously had to adapt that slightly. Yes. So we have actually been doing our assessments online, where we can. Obviously, we hope that we might be able to go back to the assessment day, because that's a really positive day where you get to meet others that want to get involved as well. And actually, some of those people will then go on to be on your course.
They were on my course.
Oh,
yes,
fantastic!
Yeah. I had a situation where 2 or 3 of them were on my course. We still have a group together. We have a WhatsApp group, and the help you get from those individuals is priceless. So in one way, I've got that group of new people in my life, and now I've got the rota as another group. So yes, you definitely meet the same people if you've got through the assessment. on that course, and it's fantastic. You've got a common interest before you even start, which is fantastic.
I think that's one of the things that our specials enjoy as well, that they make new colleagues and new friends that they take with them for life. We've had a comment actually from David on Facebook, who said, I'm taking the skills I gained from my 16 years serving as a Surrey Special to a similar role in Texas, where I'm in the process of applying to the local police volunteer team there. So we wish you all the best, David, with your new chapter in Texas. You'll have to keep in touch and let us know, and we can sort of steal some of their ideas. So I think we'll go across to Ellie now, in terms of, we just covered the application process to be a special. So Ellie, how did you apply to become a cadet?
So I applied the interest online after I'd asked about it and got asked how old I was at Pride. We get vetted as cadets to make sure that we say who we are and health and safety stuff, then I went along to Guildford unit to try it out, and it was quite quick actually. It took 2 months, and then I had my first session, and then after I'd been there for say 4 weeks, or then I would get my uniform and start. So
once you've got your uniform then as a cadet, what is there any sort of formal ceremony or anything that happens?
Obviously, because of COVID, we couldn't do it, but normally there would be an attestation where you would swear your oath to be a cadet.
Yeah, and I think once we're out of the pandemic, hopefully we'll be able to give that opportunity to all the cadets that weren't able to have that, to have an attestation. What we try to do is make that as similar as we can as to how you would if you were a special constable or if you were attesting as a police officer, so that you get that same experience that you would should you choose to become a member of the policing family in the longer term.
Yeah.
So I've got another question here from Daniel on Facebook, who says, can people with disabilities volunteer their time? Absolutely they can, Daniel, and what I would encourage you to do is get in touch with us. So if you are able to send us an email to volunteer@surrey.pnn.police.uk, we can talk to you about your specific needs and where we might be able to best place you in the force. So as well as our police cadets and our specials, we also have another group of volunteers called police support volunteers. And they do a variety of different roles across the force. I'm hoping we might be able to feature them in another episode at some point, but some of those volunteers work in more of our office-based roles, but some of them get out in the field and do community events or support with our dog school. Some of them do more investigation support roles as well. So there's plenty of different opportunities for you. So please get in touch with us. We'll also pop that email address in the chat so you've got that for reference. Okay. So I think if we perhaps go to some final comments then, Paul. So is there anything you want to add to what you've said today about becoming a cadet leader?
The only thing I would add, some of the questions that I know that also come up quite regularly, just in regards to the process of becoming a cadet leader, is it's very similar to with regards to the cadets. You submit an initial interest, then an application form is sent to you. Once again, checks are carried out, background checks, so a DBS and the Surrey Police kind of vetting checks. And the one thing I particularly like about the cadet scheme as well as the force, we're very strong on safeguarding policies, so lots of training will be given with regards to that, and providing that's successful, then you'll be invited to join a unit and take it from there to find out if it's right for you.
I'm glad you highlighted that, Paul, because I think it's really important for everyone to know that we take safeguarding really seriously here at Surrey Police, and we want to make sure that every young person like Ellie that's part of the scheme feels comfortable and feels safe. We have had cadets that have talk to us about things that perhaps they wouldn't have talked to anyone else about before, because they've built up their trust with their leadership teams and felt comfortable. So that's something that's really, really important to us, and all our leaders go through the checks that Paul's just mentioned to make sure that if you're a young person, you're coming along, you're very much in safe hands. So Ellie, in terms of you and your future and what you would like to do you think being a police cadet will help you in the future?
I think it will, yeah, because I would have known quite a lot of information about the police, and when I'm older I actually do want to have a job in the police.
Fantastic. So what are you thinking you might want to do?
Well, I'm very good once I've recognised someone, first of all, to recognise them again, to work on CCTV, but I'm also very interested in the police dogs and what they do. Just it's either one of those two.
Everybody loves the police dogs. We'll be coming on to police dogs in just a few minutes. So, Sharon, any sort of closing comments that you'd like to make?
I think, yeah, if you're thinking of doing it, it's such a rewarding thing to do. Don't let, you know, I know, was it David who said, you know, what's the age limit? Don't let age hold you back. It didn't hold me back. But yeah, if you're interested in it, do the homework, and if you think you'd enjoy it, then you probably would.
And I think I'd just like to pick up on Sharon's comment there about age. So within our Surrey Police volunteering family, we've got volunteers who are as young as 13 and volunteers who are as old as 83. So at whatever age you are welcome, and we will, you know, if you want to volunteer your time for us, we will very gratefully receive that. So please get in touch. So that brings us towards the end of our fourth episode of Surrey Police Live. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to you, the viewers. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sending in your questions and your really positive comments. Thank you very much to our guests. So to Paul, thank you. Thank you, Ellie, and thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much for your time. They're all here voluntarily, obviously. They're not being paid for tonight. So thank you very much. We're going to finish this week's episode with the special feature of Dog of the Week, which I know that many of you are probably waiting for. And this week it is Police Dog Ludo.
I'm George Larkin. I'm a police dog handler on the Surrey and Sussex Police Dog Unit. I've been a dog handler now for 10 years. Ludo's my third working general purpose police dog. Ludo is a 4-year-old German Shepherd. He was bred at Surrey Police Headquarters in Guildford. He was then placed with a family to be puppy walked, whereby they would bring him up in the home environment and bring him in around once a month for some formal training. And at a year old, or around a year old, Ludo was allocated to me, and the two of us did our formal initial training course together. That course is normally 13 weeks to train the general purpose police dog. Our course was slightly shorter because all of the handlers on the course were experienced handlers with dogs that had had some development training already. Our general purpose police dogs are used for tracking and searching, to locate people, whether it be missing people or suspects of crime. And they will also be used for locating evidence, used at public order incidents, to disperse crowds. And in addition, the dogs are trained to chase and detain a running person should that be required and necessary. He is trained as one of our firearm support dogs, which means that he has been trained to work alongside our armed response teams, so that he can support them on armed operations, again doing the same sort of tasks, whether it be searching or tracking. Ludo is now fully trained as an operational police dog and has been for around 3 years, but during their career they will have to do ongoing training, in general around once a month. Sit. Good boy. One of the recent incidents that Ludo's been involved in was during a night shift, where there was a report that a number of high value
push bikes were being stolen. During the incident, suspects have run away from officers, and the officers have called for the assistance of a police dog. Ludo's been taken to the scene and used to search, and during the search has located a male hiding within a building site, and he's also been used after locating the male, continued searching and located some items thought to be evidence that were seized. Good boy.